Let's get into the New Orleans Pelicans. The Bad News Birds back in action last night in the Smoothie King Center. First time since the All-Star break. And, a game like last night, that's the type of game where it's again, to engage in hyperbole and everything else, it is incredibly tough not to just start to freak out about like the long-term potential of this team. They look so young, so athletic, so long. I mean, between Zion, Herb, and Trey, you just have three do-it-all characters that all have like slightly different strengths but weaknesses that are improving by the day. And that it just raw athleticism. It doesn't even get into Jonas Valanciunas, who's one of the more athletic big men. It doesn't even get into Dyson Daniels, who's out last night, but he himself is an athletic, budding two-way sort of freak. And then you have the old man, C.J. McCollum, as the kind of fearless leader, glue guy that brings it all together. The scrappy guys like Najee, Jose. Larry didn't do anything last night, really, but Larry, when he has his moments, it's just, bro, that is a team-ass team.
Yeah.
And they playing like it right now. They're playing together. And last night, they just, the crowd was fantastic. They looked re-energized from the All-Star break, and they look a little hungry, look a little pissed, look a little angry, looking to make a statement, and they dominate the Rockets.
Yeah, no BI, no problem for the Pelicans. And you look at some of the guys.
That's actually crazy. I didn't even realize. I mean, I don't know how. I didn't even think about BI being out.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play, and so Trey Murphy gets the start, but that's the depth that we're talking about. That's what we've been talking about with this Pelicans team and what they could do because of the depth. And we were wondering, would they move a piece? Would they do something different? Kyrie Lewis was the only guy that they ended up moving because they like their rotation. They like their guys, and they like the ability that if somebody like BI or Zion or whoever is out, that they can put a Trey Murphy into the starting lineup, and then Jose, Marshall, and Nance can take the minutes off the bench. Last night, obviously, Jordan Hawkins gets 17. It's a little bit more than he normally would get if BI was healthy. So they did it probably the right way. They decided to hold on to the players, not make a move, not get any more draft choices in the future, or maybe overpay for a player.
Why would you get rid of any of these young assets? It's like, to me, if you would have made a move like that, and again, I'm not an NBA expert. I'm sure some would tell you like, well, the point is to shrink the lineup, etc. But like, to me, it's like, it's the old Family Guy episode of, do you want a boat or the mystery box? Mm-hmm. And if you're saying like, no, I want to trade these young assets for draft picks, it's like, wait, like what? Like, no, like, well, Lois, yeah, no, you got it. The boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Like, what? No, you already have the boat. You have Herb Jones, who is one of the best defenders in the entire NBA, and also has a three-point stroke that continues to get better. Did you see the dunks from Herb last night?
One of his best games, if not the best of the year for him.
17 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, a career-high 7 steals. We call that the inverse Tony Snell. That is how you stuff the stat sheet right there.
Poor Tony.
Yeah, I mean, it was all-time bad stat. What are you going to do? Hey, Tony Snell, not a key part, but technically a part of that Pels play-in game run.
Yeah,
remember he got in and literally did nothing.
Yeah,
every time, and it was so frustrating. Yeah. But he was there.
He was really good at it, though.
But yeah, like, so Herb's incredible. Trey Murphy. I mean, he didn't shoot great last night, but his defense, 3 blocks, like, they're so long, and those two especially paired with one another, where Herb's kind of like, the great natural defender, learning on the offensive side, and Trey's the opposite. Yep. But they're both growing together, parallel to one another. And then you've got Point Zion. I mean, Zion continues to prove that his actual best role in the NBA is as a ball handler, facilitator, scorer, and not grabbing boards. Now, he's still post up, right? Because he's just a mismatch to everybody on the court. Like Dylan Brooks got his ass whooped by Big Z last night. But yeah, man, like 9 more assists, 27 and 9. You don't need, like, if you're someone who still wants Zion to get boards, you got to break yourself of it. Right. Get rid of it. Yeah. He's a facilitator, scorer, and that's what he needs to be for this team to be the best. And he's the kind of proverbial straw that is stirring the drink for the Pelicans.
8-2 in their last 10, second longest winning streak, tied for the second longest winning streak in the NBA at 4 games. They're now in 5th in the West, and so they're out of the play-in game. You had Phoenix lose last night to Dallas, so Dallas actually has won 7 in a row.
Yeah, Dallas hot right now.
They're sitting there at number 6, but you are still in striking distance of everyone in front of you. And the best part about what they're doing now is this is a lighter portion of their schedule as far as the teams, and in years past, they would have lost some of these games. Mm-hmm. They're taking advantage of having this right now so they can go win 4 games in a row. They can be in 5th. They're not sitting there in a play-in game, and they still have, a couple of really tough games coming up. They've got, I know, the Knicks coming up on the road. I know they have the Heat. They've got the Pacers a couple of times. But still, then after that, it gets back to a little bit easier for the Pelicans.
Well, and they got, it's like CJ said, man. CJ was very honest about what the goal of the team should be, right? Don't go in the play-in.
Right.
And how are you going to do that? By beating the teams that are under 500, by holding serve at home, and by being, winning enough on the road. And that's exactly, look, last night you checked 2 of those 3 boxes, right? Rockets under 500, you hold serve at home, there you go. It continued. And the other quote I'd point to is that Zion one right before the All-Star break where he's like, look, I've never been healthy at this, or I'm not used to being able to play at this portion of the year. Like I'm freaking hyped to play some meaningful basketball. And you're seeing it, man. It's just, I don't know that in all my years of watching the Pelicans, I'm not including the Hornets here. In all my years watching the Pelicans, I don't know that there's ever been a more exciting time than this time right now. There's been nice runs, been nice stretches, but there's never been anything that you look so legitimately good and not fraudulent like maybe you have at times been in the past. And again, the AD era was defined by just being so reliant on AD. Yes. I mean, you had Tyreek Evans out here just Wolverineing his way through the paint, and then basically just that and AD. And Drew had his moments as well. But now it's a team. It's a team, and that's a credit to Willie Green and the culture that he's established since he got this job. Remember when Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Josh Hart got traded and then came back to support the boys courtside? Like, when have you ever seen that before? And that is continued. And then there's a great, I don't know if it's from last night's game, but do y'all follow Retro Pels on Twitter?
I do not.
He just loves Pelicans. Great follow. But he does these great like montage videos, pregame, postgame. But postgame, it's hit the anthem, and it's like just a bunch of the clips of the team celebrating, having fun, whatever. And Zion Williamson's been liking him after every win. And he was asked about it in a press conference, and he basically said, well, it's like, he was like, I watched the videos, and I was like, okay, this act's kind of nice. He said, because that's how it really is. And in the videos, everybody's having fun, they're getting along. And he's like, no, that's how it really is. Like, that's how this team feels. We really do all love each other, and everyone gets along. And that's underrated sometimes in sports. Like you can have the hyper competitive cutthroat environment work for sure, where everybody's kind of on their toes 24/7, but you can also have the, I actually enjoy going to work environment and have that work as well. And the Pelicans seem to be falling into that latter half of that conversation. So it's, again, 12 games up 500, winners of 4 in a row. Like Jake said, you're only 3 games behind the Nuggets and the Clippers, who are the 3 and 4 seed. Thunder and T-Wolves, like, you are absolutely actually in striking distance of a top 4 seed. And you continue to separate a bit from the chaff. But you can't get complacent, right? Because you're still technically only 1 game out of the play-in. So life can come at you fast. But I trust this Pelicans team, and I cannot wait for this final run here.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at some of the different lineups that they have success with. And ESPN kind of broke down some of the analytics of it, and they can be creative with what they do as well. And I think it's Zach Lowe that wrote this article. He's like, you kind of want to have certainty in what you are as well. I'm like, I disagree with that. Like, the fact that they can kind of change up, that you can have point Zion, and you can also put Zion at center, which they've been doing over the last couple of weeks, and have success. I think that gives you versatility. Like, with CJ, Trey Murphy, Ingram, Herb Jones, and Zion on the court, it's actually been their most efficient lineup.
Oh, wow.
So they can do things like that, and if they want to throw Valanciunas in there at center and put Zion at point or wherever he ends up, Like, I actually think that's a positive. Yeah,
You
want to
can
have
go kind
certainty.
of matchup based too,
Yeah,
if you need to.
Right. I don't think that in today's NBA or sports in general, like, you have to have certainty. Like, this is our 5 and this is who we're going to go with, when you can switch it up. Just like we talk about with baseball all the time with Jay Johnson. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have a certain 9 guys roll out there every day at the same position. He likes to move guys around depending on what the analytics say. And so I actually think it's a positive for him.
Yeah, in the age of positionless basketball too, the Pelicans feel especially they feel especially positionless, and they're so long. They're just so long. Everybody is. Like, Zion's kind of one of the only ones that's not, but then he's just a mixture of speed and strength and ability to finish around the rim that nobody else has. And his gravity, man, the way that he sucks defenses in and is able to set everybody up, it's getting better by the day. So, look, if you have not bought in to the Bad News Birds yet, there's never been a better time to hop on the bandwagon. Before we move on for the Pels, any thoughts from the peanut gallery back there?
I enjoyed it. Look, a lot of times when a team's on a hot streak and you have a little bit of a break, sometimes it can be a detriment, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're on a little bit of a roll. We saw with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, that's how they almost lost the division, right? They were 4-1 before the All-Star. I mean, their bye week. Then they lost.
Who could have forgotten the rhythm of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule? I think you're exactly right. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
we
I mean,
all
they
remember.
lost-
No, you remember because you're a little Baker boy.
They lost
But yes.
4 of 6 coming out of their bye week.
Yeah.
They were 4-1 going into the bye week. And, one of them said, I think it was Levante David, was like, look, we're rolling. We're playing good. We don't want to break
Yeah.
yet. The Pelicans
Jake's
were
talked
kinda
about
in
that before, going into the playoffs and
yeah,
stuff.
I mean, the Pelicans were kind of in the same mold, and then to shoot as well as you did, to shoot over 50% from the court. You shot 39% from 3, which wasn't bad, but what I liked, you look at the box score, right? I think in basketball, every game there is one outlier stat. Because you're like, okay, everything's similar. What's the one thing that stood out?
That's fair.
Assist to turnovers for the Rockets. 27 assists, 24 turnovers.
Yeah.
The Pelicans, 35 assists, only 14 turnovers. That is super efficient. And you're talking about Point Zion, like
35 to 14.
well, and everybody's like, oh, well, Point Zion, it's a bonus now. No, we got to stop calling it a bonus because it's the strength of your team right now.
Yeah, and it
Once
doesn't mean him
again,
bringing up the ball necessarily either, but just handling it and being the guy that starts
make
it
the
all.
offense run
Yes.
through him. Again, he led the team with 9 assists last night. That's about the 3rd or 4th game in a row that he's had numbers like that. It's impressive to watch. And look, what do we talk about all the time? The depth of this team, the talent, the me first mindset of this group. They're still finding different ways to win games, and that's what makes them a dangerous team.
35-14. I mean, I knew the Rockets had a lot of turnovers. I mean, Herb had 7 steals alone.
They had 14 as a team. They had 14 steals last night.
Blessed times. I mean, guys.
No, I'm sorry, 16 steals.
Outside of and look, bruh, if the Saints end up being good, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if they do, watch out, because we rolling. I mean, we got nothing to be upset about. If that's the case, life is bueno. Shout out to the Pels, man.